Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of 3D Prototyping in Unity. My name is Kasanas. In the last episode, we took care of the losing conditions for the game. We can lose now, the game restarts, everything works out great. Now, there's a couple of things that we're going to do today. What we want to take a look at today is the winning conditions, and I want to cover a topic that's a little bit outside of that. I'm going to do something in a kind of a roundabout way. I've had several people ask me about being able to change the pivot point, and this is both my real life students and people here on YouTube, being able to change the pivot point of existing 3D objects. And I'm going to take a look at doing that today. It's a really roundabout way of doing it. There's no simple way of doing it in Unity right now, but I'll show you guys a roundabout way to be able to change the pivot point of an object. All right, let's get started. Okay guys, so like I said, we're going to be creating the win game scenario here, and the win game scenario is pretty simplistic. Basically, the character has to run, he has to cross a number of the platforms. I've only got a couple set up right now. I've created this new platform at the end, basically a platform exactly the same way as the other ones. I'm not gonna show you guys how to do this. You've already learned how. Exactly the same as the other ones. I've created a simple box as well, and I've also got on here a door. So this consists of a platform, another platform, the actual box, and the door. And basically, I want this door to be open when the character runs in, and it's going to close when the character comes out the other side. All right, very, very straightforward, very, very simplistic. Now, the reason why I'm doing it like this, what I'm going to do here is I want to show you guys how to change the pivot point of an existing object. Now, in 3D, a lot of people have been asking about this, because in 3D it's really easy to do. In 3D, you simply move it. You simply move it to where you want it, and in the new location, everything works fine. That doesn't exist in Unity, and it's a huge oversight in my opinion. It really should be something that's added to Unity, and I really hope they add it soon. Changing the pivot point of a 3D object is fairly important to animators. Now, there is a roundabout way. Now, we have discussed several different ways, actually. We discussed the way of doing this previously. We discussed adding in a hinge joint, for example. We could add in a hinge joint, and that hinge joint, then we could apply a force to the door and have the door slam shut. And that would work perfectly fine. Now, that would work fine for something like a door, but if you really want to change the actual position, the actual pivot point of an object, there is a roundabout way of doing it, and I'm going to show you how now. If we take a look at this door, at this actual object, the door itself consists of this safe house door and this second layer safe house door. Now, the top one is just simply a positioning. It's got a transform node that you can put in position, and the second one, the second child is the actual mesh and everything else. Now, in both cases, the pivot point of the door is directly in the middle, and regardless of which one you want to animate, if you want to animate this, regardless of which one you want to animate, it's not going to work out the way you want it to because it's pivoting in the middle, right? So if we wanted to create an animation simply for this object, and I didn't want to add in any special physics objects, what I could do instead is I could add, watch, now I've created this thing here called the hinge, and this hinge is simply a transform object, transform node with a sphere collider set up as a trigger. If I drag this hinge in place, let me drag it onto my safe house door. And when I do, if I take a look now at my safe house door, the pivot point moved from the middle to somewhere on this lower edge. The larger the volume of the object I'm adding, the closer the pivot point will move to that central location. I've added a very large trigger sphere in here, so the pivot point moved from the center, which it used to be like this, to this location closer where the hinge is. All right. So what I'm going to do is, with that hinge in place, I'm going to simply drag my safe house door, the second layer of safe house door, onto the hinge itself. So I've got now 3 layers: the safe house door, the hinge, and this mesh section of the safe house door. And what this has allowed me to do is change the pivot point. Right now, my pivot point is located right there. And I can go through and I can animate this. I can move it just like that. So my pivot point now is going to be located in the lower left-hand corner. So I can open and close this door appropriately. It's a really crappy way of doing it. It's a really roundabout way of changing the pivot location of an individual object. But currently, it's the only way that I know of doing so, by adding enough volume into the existing object to physically move that pivot point from its original location into the center location of your object. All right. So with that said, what I want to do, I'm going to go on to my hinge right here, and I'm going to actually add some animation to this. So I'm going to go in, my animation selected, that's great. I'm going to add component, and I'm going to go in and add a, well, I'm not going to do this way actually. I'm going to go to my animator, my animation, and I'm going to say create, and it's going to say, what do I want to create? And I want to create a something I'm going to call safe house door idle. All right, and there it is to start off with. I've got myself an animator on my hinge. Perfect. And the way I want this thing to start off with, I want this thing to start off with, I'm going to add a property, and I'm only going to change my transform and only change my rotation. And basically, I want this thing to start off with 180 degrees open. I want the door to be wide open. Or let's try 170. That's not quite enough. Let's try 150. Just so when we're running in, we can kind of see the doors open like that. All right, 150. And I can get rid of this other location here. Bam, I don't need it. All right, so this is our idle. Our door is going to remain in this idle and open like this until the character runs inside. All right, I'm going to go in now and I'm going to add a brand new clip, create clip, and I'm going to call it safe house door close. I'll call it close. That's fine. Save. And basically, once again, I'm going to say add property, and I'm going to add my transform and my rotation in. Bang, and it's going to have the same rotation I used to have. And after, let's say half a second, when the character runs inside, I want to close pretty fast. So let's say half a second. Basically, I want to close it, and I think it's supposed to be 0. It is 0. All right. So bang, the door's going to slam shut. All right. That's all that's going to happen. Boom, the door slams shut. Okay. That's our animation. That's it. I'm going to turn this off now. Bang. Perfect. And when I go to my animator, I've got my idle. It's going to start off in idle, and I basically want to set up a trigger. I turned you off, yo. I'm going to set up a trigger in here. Trigger. And we'll call this safe house trigger. Is fine. And I want it to go from here to here. Boom, like that. And the safe house trigger is what's going to cause it to happen. Let's drag this down. And let's say has exit time is turned off because I don't want it on. And I want to trigger. That's it. All right. And the last thing I want to do is I want to make sure I go into my animation in my project, find my safe house door close. Safe house door close, and make sure this is not looped. All right. So it won't open and close over and over again. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to file save this. Now, basically what we have to do is we have to write the code that's going to allow our character to run in there and slam the door shut. All right, let's take a look at that. Okay, so in order for this to work appropriately, basically what we want to happen, let me just make sure right now, if I hit maximize on play, turn that off, hit play, make sure my door starts off as open, which is exactly what we want. So that's perfect. Now, basically what we want to happen is if the character runs inside of here, we want some code to be triggered. And so what we're going to do, we've got 3 levels here. We've got ourselves our safe house door, our hinge, and our bottom layer safe house door. This top layer is not animated, doesn't move in any way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a component, I'm going to add physics, and I'll add a box collider. It's going to end up being a trigger. And let's make it 100 by 100 by 100. All right, is that still too tiny? Oh, it's way over there still. It's so way over there. That's perfectly fine though. Let's move this entire thing to minus 800. Where's that located? Let's get inside here and take a look. All right, that's probably perfectly fine. We just want to make sure that it is located in front of the door. So let's move it also in the X, minus 100. No, wrong way. 100. That's probably lined up. Let's make it 150 just to make sure. 125. All right, that is probably lined up. Let's move it up in the Y, 50. 50. All right, that's probably lined up perfectly, and it's a trigger. So that trigger is going to give us several opportunities to issue code when the character enters it, when the character leaves it, or when the character exits. So leaves, exits, or stays. All right, those are the 3 opportunities. I don't think I said stays the first time. Exits, enters, or leaves. Enters, exits, or stays. Let's just write the code. All right, let's add a component. Add component. Let's add a brand new script. And let's call this safe house door controller. All right, and let's double click it. It's going to use a lot of the same ideas as our previous one did, as our previous episode. We want to do a lot of the same things. Basically, we're going to need, is it in player health we did this before? Yeah, it's player health. It's going to be a lot like player health. Basically what we need is we need a couple of things. We need to have a link to our text. We need to have a link to our game controller. So let's just take these things right away and copy and paste it. Edit, copy, and let's paste this right smack in here. Boom. All right, so that's great. And I also want to have, this is the entire controller. So this is actually our HUD stuff. HUD. I want to have in here a little bit of audio stuff as well. We don't actually have any audio at this time, so let's go back to our actual object. We have to add a few things in here. Let's go into our safe house and let's add an audio source in here, and let's attach to the audio source. Oops, let's open this up. Let's attach this audio source an actual clip. And do I have a door? A door clip? Do I? Heavy door. Boom, I do. Perfect. And we're not going to play it on awake. We're going to turn it off for now. All right, so we're going to have this heavy door in place. And basically what I want, let's go back to our code. I'm going to have to have an audio source. So an audio source. Audio source. And we'll just call it safe door audio. All right. In the start, let's try and find our safe door audio to start off with. So safe door audio is going to equal to get component, and we're looking for our audio source. All right, and if we find it, we'll be able to make the appropriate noise when the door actually closes. So that's perfect so far. Now, we also, like I said, have this link to both our text and our actual game controller. First thing we're going to do, let's go in here and add our void on trigger enter. It takes a single parameter. It takes a collider that we'll call other. And we'll add in our braces to make sure we're all set here. And basically what we want to happen, we want to check and see if it's our player that came in here. Maybe you have an enemy running around back there. Who knows? So if other.tag equals quotations player, then we are all set. All right. What did I write? iDictionary. That should say if. If other tag equals player, we want to do some stuff. All right. What do we want to do? Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we have our door closed. All right. So let's go in and let's find our actual animator. We know our animator is located below this level. There's only one animator, and it's located somewhere in one of the children. So let's make a new thing called animator, and we'll call it safe door anim, and it's going to be equal to our get component. Now it's on the children, so make sure you get component in children, and we're looking for the animator. All right, and once we find it, we can actually safe door anim. We can actually set our trigger and set trigger, and I can't remember what I called it. Let's go take a look. Safe house trigger. Oh, that's a good name. All right, safe house trigger. Okay, so once we do that, we're setting off our trigger, and it's going to automatically close the door. So far, so good. Our player is now stuck inside. The next thing we can do, we already have a link to our safe house door audio. Safe door audio dot play. We actually want to play it. We want to play whatever our sound is, which is our door slamming. Let's make sure it's not looping. I didn't set up to loop, did I? Let's make sure. Safe door. Not looping. Okay, great. Yeah, just plays once. That's what we want. Perfect. All right, so we actually go through and we play our audio. So far, so good. Now, we also want to trigger our effect of the actual text operating. So let's go in, look at our player health again, see what we did. This is from the last episode. The last episode we went through, we got our animator from our, well, let's have the same name, I guess. We set our trigger, and then we did restart game. So I'm going to edit, copy the same thing. Come in here. Boom. Paste the same thing. paste. So basically what we're doing now is we are going to our animator, our endgame anim, which we're defining here, is equal to our endgame.text, which we defined here, getting the component for the animator, then we are setting the trigger for the endgame, which is what it was called from before. Now we're going to have a problem. The problem is, once we've done this, we're going to play our animation that we set up before. And the animation we set up before basically said, you died. We don't want that. So we want to go through and change the text somehow. And we can. We already have access to our text right here, our endgame text. So endgame text dot text is going to be equal to, and we can say whatever we want. We want to set it equal to safe house. Safe house. All right. And by doing this, we're basically updating the text of our endgame text, which, like I said, is located here, updating to safe house. So now when it comes up, it should say safe house when we actually win the game. All right. The animator should play, and the game should restart. So let's file, save this, and let's go in here. Let's go into our safe house door right here, and as long as, oh, I'm missing something. I've got myself an error right here. Let's see what it is. Console. The type or name text could not be found. Oh, I know why. Let's go back here and take a look. I forgot to add at the top using Unity engine .ui. So we didn't actually have access to the UI information yet. Let's file save that. File save. Now that's going to give us access to everything else, to our text and everything else. All right. Let's go back and take a look now. This should clear, and it has. Perfect. All right. If we look inside of our area here, we've got ourselves our endgame text. So let's go down and drag that in. Our endgame text. And we also have our game controller. Now we're missing something here. Let's go back and add that in 1 second. Our game controller is right here. The last thing we're missing is our time. All right. We should have a certain amount of time. Oh, no, that's in our game controller, right? Game controller. Yes, it already is. All right. So everything should be here. This should operate appropriately. We've got one other mistake, but we'll take a look at that in 1 second. Oh, let me set this to maximize on play before we actually start. All right, let's just run over there. It's going to be really loud, guys. Like I said, there's no audio control yet. Sorry. Jump, jump. Let's get up there. Let me out the door. All right, when we run inside, jump. When we run inside, the door shams behind us, safe house, the game restarts. So everything there works great. We are missing one little thing though, and it doesn't actually go quite fast enough. Let's we're gonna go in and we're gonna change that a little bit so it goes much faster. In our actual game, what am I doing? In our actual game, right here, let's go to our scene, and in the game itself, on our safe house door, this part right here, there's nothing preventing the character from running back out. All right, so let's just add a component. Let's add a physics box collider. It'll automatically be the right size. All right, so when this opens and closes now, the character won't be able to get out. All right, let's try it one more time. Play. Jump. Boom, 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 boom. Nice and loud. And for me, it's extra weird because I'm still getting used to these new headphones I have, and I can't hear anything. Can't hear anything outside of what I'm doing in here, so it's super loud. Make it! I did it. All right. Inside. Shuts. Can't get back out. Can't get out. Oh, I got to turn that off. I have to destroy it. All right, interesting. So there's one last thing there. I don't want to keep playing it over and over. So I didn't actually realize that. So we're going to do a little bit of improv code right here. We want to make sure that we only do this once. We only trigger this once, all right? So let's set up a bool up here. Let's just set it up here. Bool. And we'll call it in safe. It doesn't really matter what we call it. We're going to set it equal to false to begin with. False. And if the other tag is player, and in safe is false, then what we want to do is come in here. All right. Once we get inside here, we're immediately going to set in safe equal to true. All right. So now we can only play it once. Last time we're going to check this. File, save it, and play. Last time we'll check this. Everybody's dead. Jump. Let's keep going here. Over the electricity. Jump. Up here. Not a very interesting game just yet, is it? There's a lot of work that goes into this, guys. Level design is extremely important. I made it. Inside. And it only sets it off once. Alright. Perfect. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. Alright, guys. That brings us to the end of this episode. And to be honest, I think we're almost done. I'm going to do one more episode on... I'm going to do one more episode about an exit screen, so you can exit out of this game. But other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot left to do. At this point, guys, you have everything that you need to make yourself a 2.5D side-scrolling platform. Everything you need, except for, of course, the ability to stop. Because right now, we just keep going forever and ever and ever. So all you have left is that one last thing. We'll go over that. We'll go over compiling this game and setting it up so you can send it out to all your friends. Alright, guys? I really, really hope that you have been following along, that you have used everything I've taught you and built a really awesome game of your own. Maybe you don't have it done yet, and that's cool. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time to make an appropriate game. But I'd really like to see what you do have. Alright, if you've been following along, guys, please make sure you send me a link. Say, hey, I put a game up here. Take a look at it. What do you think, Kasanas? I did this because you taught me how. That would make me feel awesome. I am going to have my students work up pretty soon. So any of the students who want me to show off their games, the games that they created, I will have the same thing I do with the 2D option. I will have a link or at least a preview of all of their games. All right, and any information about them that you might want to know. All right, guys. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know with a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down is perfectly fine. Comments are always, always appreciated. All right? Thumbs up, thumbs down, comments down below, and if you haven't done so, please take a few seconds to subscribe. Have yourself a wonderful day, everyone.